Hello everyone, and welcome to another beer review. Cutting the grass today, so it's roasting out there. Now, if you wonder why it's a case as well I'm wearing this, is because, like I said, I've been cutting the grass. Like I said, I've been cutting the grass, and it's been really warm and sunny, and I've been wearing this to protect my neck, and this to protect my head, my wee face, my wee coupon, as they say in Scotland, and my fizzer. Because as you can see, there's in between all this grey and white hair, there's a little bit of red there, and yeah, I'm a typical Scotsman. Instant lobster when the sun's out, so I tend to kind of wear this to protect myself and everything else. But the problem is I've come in here and it's like a bloody sauna, and I need to take this off, but I thought, no, bugger it can't be arsed. So I'm actually going to be doing a beer that's kind of probably more suitable to this type of weather, because it is bloody hot, so it is. And I've been out doing physical exercise, which goes against my constitution, so it does, especially at my age. I'm in my 50s now, you see. I thought, bugger that. Why the fuck am I sweating over fucking grass, for Christ's sake? What the hell's, you know what I mean? Anyway, I've been cutting the grass. It's not been enjoyable. And because it's been really hot, and then coming in here and thinking, Jesus God. But anyway, today we're doing well, it's kind of interesting. It's from Cheshire. It's a textured label. Not much I love a textured label. I won't tell you why, but at the end of the day, if I did, you probably wouldn't watch these reviews anymore, I think. Oh, you know, I'm joking. But yes, so it's the Coach House Brewing Company, and it's Cheshire Golden Ale. It's 4.1%. It's brewed in Cheshire, so it's brewed in Manchester United football land. I think that's where they all live. You know. Manchester United plays at a Salford area, and all the players live in Cheshire. It probably says it's got 2.1 UK units. It's please drink responsibly. Well, is there any spiel? Oh Jesus, how the fuck am I going to read that? But it says malted barley, gluten, yeast, gluten, water. There we go. Anyway, a wonderful golden beer with a fresh citrus hop aroma. Jesus, never seen that in the bloody shop. I'm saying that, I'm struggling to read it here. Nowhere I read that in the shop. And a refreshing pine, lemon crispiness. Now, if you've never watched me review a beer before, I'm quite a simple kind of guy. I like bitterness. I hate pine. I mean, citrus I can live with. I just do not like the pine kind of flavours in beer. And especially lingering pine in the kind of back of the mouth and aftertaste. I absolutely hate that. I don't want my beer to taste toilet cleaner. I just don't. So that's not so good. So an easy drinking and thirst quenching beer that is perfect for all occasions, whether on its own or with your favourite meal, best served chilled below 12 degrees C. And that's really it. There's nothing really more to say about Coach House Brewing Company, Cheshire Gold. There you go. Can't remember what this is called, but I will obviously put it down below in the beer facts. So yeah, let's see what it's like. Woohoo! Right, let's get it poured. Ooh. Have I got Mexican standoff with the foam, or am I going to win? Looks like I'm going to win. Not quite a flake. Oh God. But we are getting a bit of foam face coming out there. There we go. Yeah. We're getting the end of the group stage now in the football. Scotland's almost out. Aye, they actually managed to draw their second game, so they'll be creaming their panties. I mean, it's seriously. You watch some of the teams, and they haven't got players as good as Scotland, and they seem to put more up a fight. My view is, there's no pressure on you. You managed to qualify. Your main pressure was to qualify for the tournament. If you qualify for the tournament, you should go gung-ho, all out attack. Who cares if you get pumped? It doesn't matter what scores. If you lose, you lose. I mean, this is a situation. My view is, just go out and all out attack. Just give it a right good go. Because my view is, going there negative and all this type of stuff, and well, we don't want to lose here, and don't you? Whereas a lot of the teams go out there and they just go for it, and they actually get a lot of surprise results, because obviously a lot of these kind of more established, more kind of how would you call them, higher ranked teams, they expect sometimes just to turn up. They don't expect to get, this lowly opposition right up in their faces. And I think that's what Scotland really needs to do. They need to take a kind of a page out of some of these kind of Eastern European teams and things like that, and just go gung-ho, get in their faces, go and upset these big teams instead of showing them so much respect that they sit back and hopefully they can defend for 90 minutes and then get surprised when they get pumped 5-1. And let's be totally honest, that one came from an OG. But anyway, people on the podcast, it's about roughly normally about a one finger head, and it's a nice kind of light, kind of dark golden, light kind of amber colour as I'm kind of looking at it. But there's a slight kind of cloudiness to it. It's slightly opaque. It's not completely clear. So, smell. Syrupy. That's all I get. Did it say citrus? Because I'm getting no citrus. Fresh citrus hop aroma. No, I'm getting slightly just a kind of golden syrup kind of smell. Ever so light kind of golden syrup, which of course obviously is a malt smell. And that's it. I'm not getting any hops at all. So I don't know whether they're getting this as citrus aroma. Oh, who knows? Right, anyway, let's have a drink. Right. It's a bit sweeter than what I expected. And there's no hops there at all, really. No pininess, which is a good thing. No citrus, no bitterness, no nothing. No floralness. All I'm getting is a light golden syrup flavour. That's all I'm getting. A little bit of grain and a little bit of golden syrup that starts at the front of the mouth, and then that which goes all the way through the mid-tongue to the back, and then it just dissipates. There's nothing else there. You know what it tastes like? It tastes like a base ale. Now, if you don't know what a base ale is, watch. I'm going to make one in the Agulu, and what we call a generic base ale. Now, this is what you do is when you want to kind of work out how something reacts and that type of stuff. So, if you've usually got a new bit of beer brewing kit and things like that, then what you want to do is make a base ale. So you make a base ale with generic hops, everything else, and you just do it lightly. So you lightly hopped, and you'll make it not even from grain, you actually make it from spray malt. So you make it from dry malt extract, and it's known as a base ale. And it just kind of shows you exactly what this vessel, especially from a fermentation point of view, you want to see how it reacts and what it gives you. And do you pick up any accent flavours and everything else? Because what you want to do is, it's so you can adjust your timings and everything else. Because one of the big problems is, it's like, I don't really want to go into brewing too much detail, but one of the big problems is people will tell you, I mean, if you buy these kits, they'll tell you, oh, you brew for this length of time. Other people, you keep fermenting until that, the bubbles stop and all this type of stuff. No. Because even then, the yeast might not have actually finished its cycle. It might have stalled. So people will pull it out, and it actually might be pulling out too early because the yeast hasn't finished. It's just stalled because the environment isn't quite right for them to continue. Sometimes it could be a build-up of other things in the beer and that type of stuff that's now affected the yeast kind of activity and everything else. So what you want to do is you want to do what we call a base ale, and you'll do a base ale kind of brew, and you'll do it under kind of controlled conditions, and then you see what you get. Now, under these controlled conditions, you'll be expecting to get certain flavour profiles, how you're doing it, and you're using just pure malt, so you don't want to have any other kind of obscurities by using grain and everything else, because again, you can have good grain bragging. So if you've got a kind of a decent quality kind of linear kind of spray malt or dry malt extract, and yeast pellets and everything else, and you're putting in, and again, you're not making a drinkable beer, you're just trying to see what it picks up and how it's done. Has it managed to? So you've got a set temperature, and you'll do it at the set temperature, try and make it constant and everything else. So you try and make everything constant and then see what you get. And see, well, right, under that period, an 8-day fermentation or a 10-day fermentation, depending how you want to do it. In the summer, you would probably do an 8-day. In the winter, if you're doing an ale, you would probably do a 10-day and that type of stuff. So you do a base ale, and then that will tell you exactly how it's done. Is it, under fermented? Is it over fermented? Is any kind of other kind of accent flavours that have come in there? Any what we call toxin flavours to affect, and just kind of gives you an idea, because it gives you an understanding of your equipment and how things are reacting in it and everything else. And if you try and keep everything constant, and it's always better to do it in the summer, because it's a lot easier to keep a constant temperature in the summer, surprisingly enough, than it actually is in the winter when it starts fluctuating about and everything else. And humidity tends to kind of change in the winter because, of course, rainy days, and then next minute there's a cold, nippy day with no precipitation, and of course the humidity's down, and it's all over the place in the winter. So you want it in a kind of in the summer month. That's where you want to really kind of test out new equipment to see what it's like. And this is what this tastes like. It tastes like what we call a base ale. And it's used for testing out equipment and just to see where you are. Or sometimes if you haven't, you're really struggling to dial in certain recipes and they're just not coming out the way you want it, you do, right, I'll do a base ale and see how things are reacting, and it can tell you if there's anything wrong or anything. And you might even, certain, depending on your fermentation vessel, you might have contaminants that even with your kind of a sterilization process isn't really kind of getting these contaminants out and things like that, and you might actually have to change the vessel, or you might have to do a real deep clean on it or whatever, so it gives you an idea of where everything stands, and it's a good kind of control to see if you need to make any adjustments or any improvements, either to recipes, to fermentation kind of settings and configurations, time scales, all that kind of stuff, temperature, and also if you need to kind of break the kind of cycle and maybe kind of start again, things like that. So that's the kind of thing you would do, and I'm going to do that with Igulu coming up quite soon, because I want to see where that is, and I just want to know where I am with that, so I can see whether it's going to work with their packs, because their packs are very generic. Do this, follow this, scan the RFD card, and it comes up with blah 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 blah, and everyone's all pre-configured and off it goes. And I want to see, are we getting under fermentation within this system? Are we getting over fermentation or whatever? And let's see, because obviously I want to make my own kind of recipes in it as small batches, and I want to know exactly where I am initially and what I'm going to have to do. Do I have to give it longer because it's slightly under fermentation, or do I have to give it shorter time because it's over fermenting, and all this type of stuff? And is it standard condition when when the fermentation's actually finished a couple of days ago, really? And also, is it keeping a nice environment to keep the yeast happy, or am I getting stalling and I don't realise it? So that's the type of thing. And this tastes like a base ale. And it tastes like a base ale that's slightly under fermented for whatever reason, whether the temperature's not right or whether the environment's not right and the yeast is stalled or whatever. But it's just bland, syrupy, no hops, none of that. It's just, no, and it's also quite rich. It's a bit over rich for a golden ale. You want a golden ale to be a lot lighter. It's just a little bit too much body for it. And it just, yeah, it's actually closer to an amber ale, but like a base amber ale. This is the type of ale I'd be looking to kind of make in Nigulu, just to see where I am. And if I was getting this, then I would probably say, right, either the temperature isn't quite right for a top fermenting ale yeast that is going to need longer, or the yeast is actually stalled, and I need to try and work out why. So, of course, obviously, I would take samples of the beer to see what the acidity is like and all these other type of stuff, and do some chemical analysis on the actual base ale, and that would tell me, is there anything in there that would affect the yeast, any kind of signs of anything in there that's going to have caused the yeast to stall. And then what I could maybe do is add a little bit more yeast, try and change the environment and put it back on for secondary fermentation and see if we can kill it off and see if we can improve that. Or is it just down to it just needs more time? If I don't get any kind of results that kind of say, well, yeah, that could have caused it to stall, then I would say just maybe because it's not really maintaining the temperature it says it is, and it just needs more time because it's not actually holding that temperature long enough to keep the yeast in a happy environment for it to really be efficient. And it's going to take longer to actually get more of the sugars converted into alcohol. So it's that, and it just feels it's like that. It's just like it's under fermented, unfinished. Beer that's a bit too sweet and nothing there. Absolutely, really, it's just bland of flavour, which, like, from a base ale point of view, is fine. It's perfect. It's not a problem. You're not brewing it for flavour or drinkability. You're actually brewing it just to see where you are with your equipment and everything else, and your environment. It's not just where what your equipment is; it's where it is, and how is it affected by the seasons and everything else. So it's all these things you really think about with brewing, whether you're a professional brewer or you're a home brewer. It's the same things that affect you, and this just feels like it's a test ale, and it's crap. It really is crap because it tastes like a taste ale, and a taste ale isn't really for drinking. It's for analysis. That's what it's for. And you're thinking, what the fucking bottle this? Seriously? No, it's just no. And it has that quite wartiness to it. It's because of the way the sweetness is. The sweetness is quite warty. Because there's an under fermentation going on there. And that's what you're doing. You're getting some of that wort flavour because some of it is still wort, and that's the problem. So it hasn't converted the majority of it over to fermented beer. some of it's still unfermented, and there's enough of unfermented there to actually affect the flavour, to actually give it a bit of wartiness to the edge to it, which unfermented beer is wort, basically. And once it's been fermented and converted into alcohol, then that's where you have what we call fermented beer. That's the kind of more of the finished product. Now, of course, you also need conditioning and everything else and that, but this is just, it's very raw. Yeah, very young and just under fermented. So I'm not even going to break down the flavours, because there isn't really any flavours apart from kind of syrupy sweetness and this sort of kind of wort kind of flavour edge to it, accent flavour. And that's it. It's just fucking dreadful. I mean, seriously, I'd use this to do lab analysis on it. I would not basically use this for drinking. So yes, you do a test ale, analyse it, test it, and then basically make any adjustments you need to try and get far better and more consistent brewing and everything else. You wouldn't put it in a bottle thinking, see if we can sell this piss. Because, I mean, seriously, it's just, no. It's way too raw, it's way too green, it hasn't completed its fermentation. It's just dreadful. And they really shouldn't be selling it. It really shouldn't be. Christ, what am I going to give this out of 10? Well, the bottle's usable. It's that end of the scale where I'm looking at the colour of the bottle thinking, well, I can get a point for that. For the rest of it, what would I get? 0. Just dreadful. Like I say, it's like a test ale. It really shouldn't be put out for drinking. Because test ales aren't for drinking. Test ales, you can make a test ale and then you can adjust it and everything else, put it in for secondary fermentation, you can muck about with it. But that's what it is, a test ale. It's not really for drinking, it's for analysis and just to give you an idea of what you can do and everything else. And, excuse me, a bit gassy as well. But no, this is just not right. It's just, I don't understand why we're here drinking this or even reviewing it. It just doesn't make sense. What the hell is going on? So, out of 10, I can give it 1 for the bottle, but for the beer, it's undrinkable piss, really, and it shouldn't be for consumption. It should be for analysis, because that's what it tastes like. Or are their systems so off that they need to do a test ale batch and actually review their brewing system and everything else and make adjustments before they start actually going for finished products? Because this is another thing, is even when you, like a professional brewery, if they're going to start a new recipe and everything else, then what they'll do is they'll take some of the base elements of that recipe and they'll run it as a test ale or beer, depending if it's a lager or something like that. They'll do a test beer or a test ale, and then they'll analyse it to see what they're getting with it and everything else, just in case they need to change any of the environmental side of it and everything else, and equipment side and everything else, making adjustments before they actually run a batch, usually a small batch, but you'll run a batch of the actual finished recipe and then see what you get. So the whole point is reduce costs and try and pick up any issues or problems with less ingredients and everything else, and see where that takes you, and gives you an idea of where potential issues might arise if you were doing a proper batch. And that's a normal thing, and this is what it tastes like. So what they're doing, they're actually bottling that, or their system's so off that they don't even realise they're actually brewing shit, because it's not actually finishing its fermentation process properly and everything else. And even just slightly opaque and everything else, that's the type of thing you would get with a test ale, because you're not looking for conditioning or anything like that. You want that rawness to it, you want that freshness so you can analyse it. And yeah, so it's 1 out of 10. It's 4.1%, I think it is. Yeah, 4.1%, 500ml bottle. Avoid, just not as crap. It really is. It's undrinkable crap. Serious, what's going on in this world? It's so annoying. It really is so annoying that I'm sitting there reviewing this. And of course, also just see how the foam is and everything else and the head. That's what you get from a test ale. You get that kind of reaction to it. It's just, no. But anyway, I will be doing a test ale on Nagulu, and I would expect to get something very similar. If things aren't working quite well, I would get something less sweet and with a slightly more bitter edge. If I can get to what we call more of a successful fermentation process and everything else. If I got something like this, then there's going to be something wrong, and I would have to make adjustments to it, and I would make adjustments to it. So it just shows you it's just nonsense. But anyway, it's 1 out of 10. It's 4.1%. It's 500ml bottle. I'll put the price down below. But anyway, don't buy. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye for now.